Well, hello and welcome back once again. Today's video is going to be yet another Hot Wheels Redline video. In this video we feature the 1968 DEORA, and as you can tell it has seen better days. But as always, looks can be deceiving. Sometimes you have a casting that looks horrible that turns out beautiful, and then you have others that don't look so bad and they are the worst. So let's have a closer look at the entire vehicle. Before I begin, I'm going to take a quick look at some of the history on the DEORA. This was part of the first 16, or the Sweet 16, and it was customized as a surfer truck. It was designed by Harry Bentley Bradley. In 1964, Bradley designed a real Dodge DEORA based off the A100 pickup truck and parts of a 1960 Ford wagon. And like many of the Redlines, this was produced in Hong Kong as well as the US. The Hong Kong version had a blue windshield, such as our example, while the US had a clear. Also, the front grille section on the US version actually featured a grille, whereas the Hong Kong version didn't. Some castings also featured a painted base. Now there are other differences. These are just a few that I found interesting. We're going to start this restoration by clamping the casting into our portable watch vise. This works excellent, and those plastic tabs won't cause any damage to the casting. We're going to center punch the rivets. You can see one is in the center of the vehicle and the other is in the back half. There's nothing holding in the front section. Found these 16th inch machine bits from Harbor Freight. And what I like about these, it not only starts your 16th inch hole, but it will also remove most of that mushrooming. The key word is most of it. There's still a small amount present, so we'll need to take our screwdriver and just pry it apart. Not like we did with the Christine casting, which many of you did not like. The glass is also held in place with a post that is mushroomed out, so we need to drill this out. I can now have a closer look at the glass, and it appears to be in good shape, as well as the interior, just a little dirty. At this point, I did not notice it was missing the steering wheel. It's there. I found it on the workbench after I cleaned it up. And that rough-looking base. We'll address that later, as well as this body. I'm now going to take our 16th inch bit and finish drilling the post, and then we'll file them down flat. And at this time, I'm going to address the corroded base. We're going to dip it into our heavy-duty acid cleaner that's mixed 50-50, half water, half acid. And after a minute and a half, much cleaner. We still need to polish it up a teeny bit. So we're going to use our wire brush and just give it a little bit of shine. This will also remove that red paint as well as any factory paint. There's some black on the front and then red for the taillights. Once we're complete, we have a nice, shiny, new looking base. I like it. For some reason, I missed the footage of stripping the body, but this is what we ended up with. It's rough, but not the worst. We are not going to do zinc plating on this one. We're going to wet sand it with some 800 grit, and then we move up to 1200 grit, and this is what we've got. We're going to take our micro mesh pads, which start at 1500 grit, and we're going to go all the way up to 12,000. I know it's a bit overkill, but I did not want to polish the DEORA. I wanted the DEORA to have more of the natural look, and originally these cars were never shiny. In a lot of cases, the castings were rough and the paint was poorly applied, not like you would find in the Redline Club cars today. Those are near perfect. John from the Redline shop sent me some new paint. We are going to paint this the original purple, but one thing I'd like to mention, the new paint features a barcode. You can take your smartphone, scan that barcode, it'll take you directly to that paint in the Redline shop. There you can find tips on how to apply the paint, any facts, and you can also order. So be sure to check out the redlineshop.com to get any of these Spectraflame paints. I absolutely love them. The Redline shop is not a sponsor, I just really like their products. I share with you all the products I use, and I have zero sponsors, at least not at this time. And I'm painting one light coat, I wait 10 minutes, a medium coat, wait 5 minutes, and then one heavy coat. Then I allow it to air dry, or I bake it in the oven at 220 degrees for 20 minutes. I then mask off the entire casting minus the bed or tonneau portion using the Tamiya masking tape. Once we've got it taped off, we're going to use our black magic to paint the bed. I use the black magic fairly often. Usually it's to paint the roof of a car. If you want that textured matte finish look, we'll use that. And I thought it would look really nice on this DEORA. While the black magic is still wet, we'll gently pull away the Tamiya masking tape. This does not pull any of the paint with it. It works awesome. And you can see it looks great. I'm going to use a red Sharpie for the taillights and a black Sharpie for the front grille section. Quick and easy work, and it looks great. Once I clean the windows with warm soapy water, I'm going to polish them using this Plast X. I actually got this tip from Bare Metal Hot Wheels. I was watching one of his later videos and he had mentioned how great it is. And he was right. This is awesome. It not only removes small scratches, it gives it a nice polished look. You should be able to find this at your local automotive store, but I will put an Amazon link below. Now the steering wheel. There it is. And it's supposed to stick in this little slot, but it doesn't stay. Unfortunately, online I couldn't find any photos to tell me whether this should be facing up, down, or towards the seat. So we just kind of cobble it together and glue it into place because it will not stay in that little slot without the glue. I'm using some reproduction wheels from the Redline shop. The original wheels were in fairly good shape, but they do need some paint. I'm going to practice the chrome painting a bit more and reuse those at a later time. Once I have the wheels started, I'll use the wheel alignment tool to push them all the way over the bearing. That way they're not sticking out any further than they need to be. Now it's time for the reassembly. We will start with the interior glass. I did not need to glue this in place. I had enough of that post left over where it would pop right over it and stay into place. We'll install that interior with that freshly installed steering wheel, followed by our base. And with this restoration, we're going to use some reproduction rivets. We add some glue and then slide them into place. Not quite factory, but it looks good to me. With that, we are complete. Finish it off with some reproduction surfboards, and we've got one finished DEORA. I'm not liking the steering wheel. I'm sure you can see it in that shot. It makes it look like there is a scratch on the actual windshield, but it's the steering wheel. I may take it apart and move it later. Also, this casting happens to be a dust magnet. I'm not sure why. It's on the windows, it's on the paint, it's everywhere. The good thing is it's not in the paint. I tried this shot 4 times. I would clean it, put it back on the stand, and sure enough, there was dust once again. So after the 4th time, I gave up. I realized that's not important, but someone will mention it in a comment. I have to remind myself this is what we started with. So I can live with a few dust bunnies and a wonky steering wheel. I'd like to take this time to thank all my patrons and all my subscribers, as well as anyone that watches the videos. I'd like to give special thanks to my top patrons, which are Mark Kidd and Rob over at Matchbox Garage. Thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate it. If you see any of the tools that I use in this video that you'd like to purchase for yourself, check out the Amazon links. They are located below the video in the description. I have US, UK, and Canada. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post those as well. And as always, thanks for watching.